Okay, so first of all, you're all very welcome to the inaugural Cheltenham Dualla Preview 2020. What a panel we have here, guys. It's full of grade ones everywhere. First of all, I want to introduce you to a man on the very right. Of course, he was a Dualla native for a while before moving up to Desi Hughes. He has won a host of big races, including a Galway plate aboard the Gordon Elliott Trade Clarkham, Mr. Mark Enright. Welcome back to Dualla, Mark. What? I don't know how you got in. I thought you were barred over here.
Now got me back.
The next man on my right, of course, he's a multiple Cheltenham Festival winning jockey, and his first grade one ride was a winning one aboard Joesp's Tower Bridge. Of course, he's won Ireland's most prestigious national hunt race, the Boyle Sports Irish Grand National 2 years ago, Mr. JJ Slevin. The man on my left broke every record as a jockey. He's then went on to break every record as a trainer. He has, I think, over 500 winners since last year. He's won a Melbourne Cup, a Breeders' Cup, an Irish Gold Cup, and I think if we give him a set of golf clubs, he'd win a Ryder Cup. Mr. Joseph O'Brien.
I'm here on behalf of the Mud Punters.
And of course, the main attraction to our panel is a late reserve. I think Jimmy McGee'd even ring this man for his knowledge of sport, whether it be rugby, coursing, and of course, he makes a trip every year to Cheltenham, Mr. Johnie Louby. So we're going to kick off. We're not going to delay because these boys are in a rush. So day one is the Supreme Novice Hurdle over 2 miles, and of course Willie Mullins has farmed this race, winning 4 of the last 7 renewals, with such greats as Vatour and Duvan. He won it last year with Classical Dream, and he's one of the leading fancies in the shape of Asterlan Forlange. He was a very impressive winner of a point-to-point in early 2018, but we didn't see him until November last year when he won a bumper, and he wasn't impressive that day. But he went on and he won a maiden hurdle in Naas and absolutely blitzed him. He then went on to the Grade 1 in Leopardstown and made every post a winning one, beating Notebook by 9.5, or Easy Work by 9.5 lengths. I think this could add to Willie's tally in the race. He's 4-1 at the minute. I'm going to ask Joseph's opinion on this now.
Yeah, very good race. I suppose it boils down to the top 3: Shishkin, Abracadabra, and Assyrian Forlange. I like Abracadabra. I thought his run in Fairyhouse was fantastic against Envoy Allen. He's got loads of pace. He done what he had to do in Leopardstown last time. You have to take the vibes from the Nicky Henderson camp on Shishkin very seriously. They have a fantastic hold on their novices, as they always do, and they think he's an outstanding horse. For me, Abracadabra, but I'd be taking what the vibes from Nicky Henderson's camp very seriously, and Shishkin hasn't done anything wrong in his career so far.
Yeah, I suppose the only thing about Nicky in the race is I think he's only won it once, has he? Of course, that was with Altior, but...
Yeah, possibly so. I just think that they have such a good a bunch of novices every year and horses every year. When they say something is as good as what they say this horse is, it has to be taken hugely, very seriously. Some people have put him in that he's working with the likes of Altior, etc. at home. So like if that's true, you have to really listen. Now he has to step up and do it on what he's done on the track so far. You couldn't fault what he's done, but I don't think he's the form that Abracadabra has. And I think Abracadabra is 6-1, whereas this fella's favourite.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to go with Willie's horse at 4-1 as regards to price, and I think that just that the Irish novices seem to have a better quality of racing at the minute.
Yeah, and he's the real type that Willie has won this race with before. Yeah. A stay-in 2-miler as opposed to being a speed horse. Abracadabra is a real speed horse, whereas this horse, you'll probably see him going 2.5, 3 miles in the future.
So Abracadabra for you?
Abracadabra for me.
Lovely. Mr. Enright?
Yeah, I like Willie's horse. I think he was very impressive in Leopardstown the last day. Easy Work is 146 rated over hurdles. He beat him by 9.5 lengths. And what I like about him is Willie thought he was a 3-miler. And so he obviously doesn't show a whole lot at home. When he comes to the track, he really puts it on, and I think that's always a good sign in a horse when they're a little bit laid back, maybe a little bit behind the bridle at home, and they leave everything for the track. I was very impressed with him in Leopardstown, and I think he'll take all the beating. I think Abracadabra's lot of speed. He's a proper 2-miler, really. But I think there's a hole in him. He went through the rail in Leopardstown, the bumper last year. He ran very free in the champion bumper, and he's just they're going to need to keep him under wraps over there. He was over there last year. Look, he's a year older, a year wiser, but I just think there's a hole in him. Willie's horse for me, definitely.
Okay. Mr. Slevin, if you had a ride in the race, who would that be?
I think I'd like to ride Abracababras. He's shown loads of speed. I think the tempo of the race is going to be important, and I imagine whoever's on Asterion for launch, they won't be hanging around. But if the tempo is not strong, Abracababras has got so much boot. He's a lot of class and high cruising speed, and I definitely love to be riding him.
Of course, there'll be a bit lucky six for you too, so maybe that might sway as well, would it?
Yeah, hopefully Eddie is listening and hears that.
So, Mr. Louby, who's your first bet in Cheltenham going to be?
With the weather possibly is going to dictate it for me insofar as that I'd be, if it gets really soft, I'd like William Mullins' horse because he's certainly a strong 2.5 miler. And like this is over 2 miles. I think he's a serious horse. And as I said, the weather seems to... But of course, according to your chart here, I don't know how you're going to tell us here that the bloody forecast is sunny spells. And tomorrow's forecast is light rain, and we're a fortnight away. And the boys tonight on television don't even bloody well know what the forecast will be tomorrow.
Follow the betting. There's a big lot
Or
of
do
money.
Bile Sports go into the weather forecast as well? They do.
There's a lot of money, I think, for soft ground at the minute, isn't there?
Yeah, Willie Mullins, that's for me. He's possibly he's definitely one of our greatest trainers. Well able to get a horse ready, been there, done that. And talking to David Casey and them, look.
You have the inside information.
Well, I wouldn't say it. We're talking about the weather.
Oh, you're still on about the weather.
But anyway,
We
I'm a
might see
Willie
you after
Mullins
the
man.
6-1, will we?
I'm a Willie Mullins man.
Okay, good man. So, race 2 is the Arkle. It's a Grade 1 Novice Chase, and of course the favourite for this is the Henry de Bromhead trained Notebook. He's a worthy favourite winning his first 4 starts over fences, including the Irish Arkle. But I think the man here beside me could train the winner of this race, Fakir du Dariz.
He's not 100% sure to run in this race.
Right, okay.
He has an entry in the marsh as well. If the ground was soft, this race would definitely be the more likely target for him. I think he'll get much closer to Notebook this time. We didn't get the rub of the green in Leopardstown on Christmas. The ground was a bit quick in the racing festival, so we said we'd go straight here. He's working very well. If he turns up, he's a big chance, and I think he'll turn around with Notebook. He's a little bit worse off at the weights, but I think just the way the race worked out for him the last day, he done extremely well to get as close to him as he did, and I could see him hopefully turning it around with him this time.
Yeah, I was going to give my political answer and be like, he could turn the form around, but yeah, he didn't get the rub of the green. I think he's definitely, if he turns up, as you said, and the ground looks his favourite to be soft at the minute, so he might turn up. I think he could turn the form around with Notebook.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. Now there is a couple of others in there. Cashback ran very well at Leopardstown the last day. Very, very keen. He's going to go very quick. A Notebook is a bit keen. He'll be going forward as well. And my horse is a front runner, so it's going to be run at a fierce pace. It'll be a great race to watch. Hopefully Fakir will come out on top.
Yeah, I think Rachel actually gave Notebook a very educated ride the last day. I was in Leopardstown, and just as Cashback, he was trying to get a breather in, she kept at him, took him off the bridle. But I still think Fakir for me.
Hopefully.
Mr. Enright?
Yeah, Fakir Dudari is definitely... he definitely didn't get the run of the race in Leopardstown. Geez, I loved him today in Fairyhouse. Today Sam Crow fell at the second last. He jumped unbelievable that day. Notebook, a good horse in his own right. I think if they meet again, if both of them line up, Fakir Darius will turn the form around. Cashback for me, race is too keen. He takes a chance at these fences, and he won't get away with that around Cheltenham. So definitely, I think Fakir Darius 9-2. He's a good price at that, I think.
Lovely, JJ.
Yeah, this race is going to be really run to suit Fakir Dudari. Like the only times that he's been really beaten has been when the tempo probably hasn't been strong enough or things didn't go his way. I think Cashback, as Joesph said, and the Bromhead's horse are going to go a proper good gallop, and I'm sure Mark Walsh won't be too far away. And the harder to go for this, the better, because he'd have no bother stepping up and trip to a JLT and a fast run Arkle on a bit of slow ground. would be right up his street.
So there's 4 votes for Facker. Johnny, are you going to disagree with us?
No, I'm Willie Mullins again. Yeah, Cashback. I love the name.
Okay.
So that'll do me.
Did you get cash back here in Dualla tonight?
Yeah, lads. Look, it's going to be a serious race when horses take each other on, and that I just feel that could be opening up for something else.
You could see kind of a St. Calvalos and what was it, Petit Mouchoir? Remember they cut each other's throats a couple of years ago in football.
That's right. Yeah. Look, it is going to be a hugely interesting race, but I have a funny feeling like we'll say we're all talking about the Irish horses here. There has to be a serious English horse. Paul Nicholls' horse or stables is in good form, and whether he has won up to this calibre or not, I don't know. But I know we just can't keep talking about the Irish horses all night. I just wonder, is there an English horse stuck in there that could do away with our hopes and ambitions? But for me, look, it's Cashback anyway, and the best of luck to Joesph here. I hope he brings the trophy back.
Here, here. Okay, that brings us to the feature race of day 1, the Champion Hurdle, won by some greats, of course, down through the past. It gave me my first race in memory with Isterbrack winning 3. We have a wide open renewal this year. I think the first 3 in the betting at the minute are mares, which is extraordinary. I'm going to go with, I was going to go with Nicky Henderson's. Johnny, you'll be pleased to know it's an English raider. Impotent. A super impressive winner of the Christmas Hurdle at Kempton. But this race is a super hard race to win for any horse, not alone yet a mare. But I think there was a statement tonight from Nicky's Arch, she's a bit of a cough, so that might put me back to the drawing board. I'm going to ask Joesph here.
Yeah, I'm with you, Richie. I'm all over Epitant. She's probably the only mare that's in the top couple of the betting that's going to actually run here.
Yeah.
She's been hugely impressive this year. Nicky thought she was their banker of the week last year in Cheltenham, and that didn't happen for her. That's a little bit of a worry that it didn't happen around the track before. But I'd be willing to forgive that. There's going to have to be a bigger price horse placed in this race. I thought Gavin Cromwell's done a fantastic job with Darver Star. He's improving. He ran very well last time. Every time he's ran, he's been better than his previous run, and at a price he could be one to sneak into the each way money.
Of course, Gavin will be hoping lightning strikes twice. I think he won the race last year.
He won the race last year with a 33 to 1 shot. I'd be surprised if this lad's good enough to win the race, but I could see him sneaking into a top 3-4 finish.
I'm kind of on the same page as you. I'm looking for a bit of value each way. My each way bet in the race will be the Distinctful Grey Petit Mouchoir.
Oh, yeah.
He was third in the race back in 2017, and he's starting to come back to form. He had a very good run in Leopardstown. He was only beaten a length by Honeysuckle. He's around 25 to 1 shot at the minute, and just a sucker for a grey, really. So, Miss Mark?
Yeah, Epitante has the coronavirus, so probably won't run. The one I like is Gordon's horse, Course Sublime. He was second to Pentland Hills last year in the Triumph Hurdle. He absolutely hosed up on his first run back this year in Down Royal. He's a year older, year stronger. He would work with anything in the air. He's the best workhorse I've ever sat on. He's had a few niggly problems. I think he got his win done after Leopardstown. He's 14 to 1. For me, he's way overpriced. If he does on the track what he does at home, I think he'll win. And a bit of value. I don't think he'll mind soft ground. He was weak last year, and as I said, second to Pentland Hills in the Triumph was a very good run. And he's only got bigger and stronger this year. So I think at 14 to 1, he's a massive each way bet at least.
Great, JJ.
Yeah, I think there's no real standout horse in this Champion Hurdle. It's a very open race this year, and I can't really tell you what's going to win it, but I wouldn't mind Ballyandy each way. He's a very, very good horse. He's won the bumper around here before. He's got a lot of talent, and he's coming back to himself this year, and we do know that he will get up the hill, and he's probably not a massive price, but I can see him being in the frame.
Perfect. And Johnny, your take on the Champion Hurdle?
A horse at about 40 to 1.
William Mullins' horse.
Sharjah.
Oh.
Yeah, I love the horse. I don't know what it is about him, but sometimes when he does hit the real form.
I backed him every time he's ran at a big prize, except for the times he's won.
Yeah, well,
so I'm going to stick clear. But I know what you're saying. So
Yeah,
I'm not going to back him this time, and he's going to absolutely hack up.
Yeah, what price is he?
I think he's around 33 to 1 at the minute.
Yeah,
isn't
I think he fell last year in Cheltenham.
he? Yeah, he did. Yeah, he fell.
And I'd love to. He's just a horse that I like, and especially it is an open champion hurdle. It's hugely open, And
They're always the hardest one to win, don't they?
yeah, I'll tell you one thing now. I'm not too much into Willie Mullins, but I'm after giving the three of them so far.
Okay, so that brings us to the last race we're going to take a look at on day one. Of course, it's the Mayor's Grade 1 hurdle. In my eyes, there's only one winner here, Benny Dezo. She was my nap at the meeting 2 years ago, and she looked like she was going to add a second one when she fell. That was her only blip. She was 3 lengths clear, so I'm hoping she gets a bit of revenge and goes and gets her head in front this year. Johnie? All right. I go to Joesph.
Yeah, I couldn't disagree with you there. She's an outstanding filly. Honeysuckle, who's probably going to run here, is definitely an opponent that they'll have to take seriously. She won last time. She had a good look at the last, made a mistake, and still went on to beat a horse that's been tipped each way for a champion hurdle. So
yeah,
she's an outstanding filly. 2 outstanding mares. I think Benny the Jew is the winner, but I don't think there'll be a huge amount between them.
No, I think I was up when Honeysuckle won. She didn't look overly impressive, but I think her performance was a bit underrated. So I think she will
give her jumping, yeah, for sure.
So, but Benny, I'm going to stick with Benny here. Mark?
Yeah, I thought Honeysuckle lugged a little bit to the right in Leopardstown, so maybe she's just not suited to going left-handed. But I think Benny the Jew is a moral certainty. Glad she gets the coronavirus.
And JJ?
There's not a huge amount between them. I'd imagine it is going to be a very good race, but Benny the Jew was unbelievably good in Gore, and I loved the way she travelled around there. And I think it's going to be a closely enough run affair, but I think Benny the Jew will come out on top.
The fact that she's had that run now and all before heading into Cheltenham gives me, that's why she gets my vote. So we're all on the Benny the Jew. Of course, Johnny, have you made your mind up yet?
Yeah, who's training it?
Oh my God. Benny the Jew.
Jesus, I can't go for a 4-timer, can I?
I tell you what.
I think this is the greatest certainty. The greatest certainty of all for the first day.
I think you're right there. I'll agree with you this time.
Jack Marrell will cover me. He's in the insurance accident scheme. In case this thing doesn't come up.
Is anybody going to enhance it to even money for us, I wonder? Anyway, we'll move on. So we'll go to day 2. Of course, it's the Ballymore Novice Hurdle, and last year's bumper winner in Violin is hot favourite here. He's 11 to 8. He's won his 3 starts over hurdles. Last seen taking the Grade 1 Novice at Naas. He looks very good. He looks the real deal, and I am going to stick with the Gordon Elliott runner.
I think he's one of the bankers of the week. Outstanding racehorse. Done a preview with Davy Russell the other day in Cork, and he said that going to Fairy House, he never felt as much pressure in any race in his whole career as he did riding this horse in Fairy House. So that'll tell you the esteem he holds the horse in, and the regard that they have for him in Gordon Elliott camp. Fish will tell us a bit more, but I think he's one of the bankers of the week.
Mark, have you the inside track?
Not really. I put a rug on him once, all right, but that was about it.
You're told to stay clear of this lad, are you?
Yeah, I'm not allowed near him. No, look, he's beaten everything that's been put near him. He's done it all. He jumps very well. He sort of looks unbeatable at the minute. He's been to Cheltenham, won the bumper. But I like that sport, and John, I think he's a lovely horse. I think he's a very good horse. I loved him today in Exeter. He won his first run over hurdles. He looked beat everywhere. Barry got stuck into him, and he took off and ended up being a very good winner. I think it was a 4-runner race the last day he won. So experience-wise, he'll probably lack a little bit, but I don't think he'll be too far away from Inviallen. I don't think he'll beat him, but I think he'll give him some sort of a race at some stage anyway.
JJ?
Yeah, sure, I'm going to have to stick to the script again. Violin, he's an unbelievable horse all year and again, and I can't see him being beaten really. And I suppose most lads are going to try and avoid him. They're going to probably step horses up to 3 mile or maybe come back to the Supreme to try and stay away from him. So that's going to make his task probably all the easier.
Yeah. And Johnny, have you found Willie Mullins' runners in this race yet?
No.
So,
And I haven't a bloody clue.
right.
I'll leave it to the experts. Joesph, have you won on this?
Yeah.
Well,
Gordon's horse, certainly.
there you are. You heard it here. The greatest certainty of all times. Joesph, just do it. That's what the lads love to hear. And are you around the week after in case the stone broke?
So that brings us to the RSA, the Novice Chase. And of course, will Faheen turn up is the question mark. He brought the roof down in Leopardstown. He's around 10 to 1 at the minute, but I don't know will he turn up here. Willie's other runner is head of the market, Aloha. He's 4 to 1. He was third in the Alba Bartlett last year behind Manila Indo, and I will stick with Henry de Bromhead's horse to beat him again this year. Champ is an interesting runner though, but he's a bit too short for me. If he drifts, I'll probably back him on the day. He was second behind Martin Brazil's City Island in last year's Ballymore, and if he can get over his last run where he fell, I think he could be the one. I think Tony McCoy was very sweet in this lad when he goes chasing, and if he drifts, he'd have to go to 4 or 5 for him to me to back him, maybe to back him each way for a safe bet.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you. His jumping is a little question mark, but he's got a big engine. Manila Indo is done nothing wrong. Put in a good performance the last day. He loved this trip. He loved a bit of juice in the ground. Just won at a bigger price that I could see running well, and he's going to be quite a big price because he's after falling most of the times he's ran. But that's Master Tommy Tucker. He's a very, very good horse. He's a fantastic jumper, but he gets them wrong, and he's done a somersault. I think his last 3 runs with 3 or 4 fences left to go. And if Paul Nichols runs him here, and if he gets his jumping sorted out, he could run a big race at probably 33 to 1 or bigger. He might be an each way bet for a bit of fun.
Lovely. Mark?
Yeah, I don't know really. Champ took a proper fall in Cheltenham the last day. I'm sure he'll have done plenty of schooling since, but I don't know, it's hard for a horse like that to come back from such a heavy fall. Manila Indo, he only beat Captain CJ by 1.5 lengths or 1.25 lengths in Navan the last day. If Captain CJ was in this race, he'd be 33 to 1.
Yeah.
Aloha was very good in Fairy House. He probably didn't beat a whole lot, but he went a right good gallop, jumped super, and put them to bed early. But he might be a little bit of value around 9 to 2, but I think it's a wide open race. If Champ gets it together, he'd probably take all the beating. Can't really have Manila Indo. So I think it's kind of one to stay away with and see what Champ does.
JJ?
Yeah, this is a proper tough novice chase around Cheltenham. Aloha was very impressive the last day, and the Mullins camp do think a nice bit about him. There was good talk in the weight room about him after that win. I like one at a big price. I don't know whether he goes there or not. He might go for one of the handicaps, and that's the conditional. He's now trained by David Bridgewater. He was second in the Hennessy. He's loads of experience. He's a good hardened horse. The ground comes up soft. I can see him definitely sneaking into a place. The Hasses had him here last year, and I definitely wouldn't put anyone off backing him at 33 to 1.
Lovely. Johnny?
Does Faheen run in this?
He's in, I don't know.
There's a chance Faheen mightn't run anywhere.
I don't.
That's the kind of the vibes at the moment. But he could. But knowing Willie Mullins, he probably will. But there's a chance he mightn't run anywhere.
Like he could retire him on a high, I think. Ruby done an interview the other day, and he wasn't too sure if he runs. So that's always a question about him, and Ruby's not certain. Like so. But if Faheen runs, you're going to back him each way, is it?
No, if Faheen runs, it's the same as Tipperary winning in All Ireland. If Faheen wins, the roars from the stand will be unbelievable, lads. I mean, Limerick was unbelievable. What he has done for racing, just to do what he's doing, you know. I'd love to see him running and winning. I wouldn't like to see him running and getting bit.
Yeah.
You know.
I think even if he finished second or third, there'd be more of a queue coming for this lad in than the winner.
And I certainly don't know about Champ. I think this thing could go to an outsider, like maybe, as Joesph said there, Paul Nichols. Because you need a horse with 100% confidence going to Cheltenham, and Champ doesn't inspire me, you know.
Yeah, it's just, yeah. Okay. So there's the third race is the Coral Cup, of course, is one of the big handicaps. I just have one each way fancying this. If it runs, it's the Paul Nichols trained Cat Tiger. He's multi-entered though, and he could run the Kim Muir as well. So he's lightly raced. He loves to win. He's just whatever race he runs at, we're just going to wing past these handicaps. Yep. If you won in it?
No, I have a horse called Embittered might run that. He ran well at Leopardstown the last day, and if the ground isn't too soft, he'll have a good each way chance. He'll be 20 to 1 or more probably.
Lovely. That'll bring us to the feature race of day 2. It's the Queen Mother Champion Chase, and what a race we have. The legend that is Altior, who has won this race for the last 2 years. We have last year's GLT winner Philip Hobbs' Defy Soy, and of course the new kid on the block is Willie's Chacun Pour Soi. Both will have to be on the real deal if they want to beat this lad though. I'm going to stick with Willie's Chance Pour Soi. I seen an interview with Paddy Mullins after he got beat and before he won at Leopardstown, and they asked him, do you think Willie won the champion chase? And he didn't say yes or no, he said by how far. Paddy is a fair shrewd judge, and I like this horse. What he done as when Robbie Poe rode him in was it Punchestown? Punchestown, yeah. So I'm going to give him my vote here. Joseph?
I think it's one of the races of the week. Some fantastic horses. Altior coming back. He was very good the last day. Hit a little flat spot and won well. Chacun Pour Soi has always looked very good, but he hasn't really finished his race as strong as I'd like to see him going to the line. I think Defy de Sol is the one here. He looks better than ever this year. He's a real 2-miler. If they go fast, it'll suit him. If they go slow, he's got a great turn of foot. Barry Garrity is fantastic on these 2-mile chasers, and for me, Defy de Sol is the one. I think he's a good price, and I think he's going to beat them all.
Lovely, Mark.
Yeah, I love Defy de Soy as well. He's got a lovely way of racing. He pops away, and when Barry needs to switch him on, he's there with a big one, and he just lands there. But Altior, he's been there. He's done it more times. If he'd have beaten Serename, what price would he be now? I mean,
look, I think we all think he wasn't right that day, and
yeah, the wrong trip. He probably wasn't fully wound up either,
yeah.
You know. So I think he's probably a bit of value at 15 to 8 or 2 to 1. I think he's savage value. I love Defy de Soy, but I mean, if the proper Altior shows up, nothing will get near him really.
There'll be some race now if the three of these were heading to the last together. What do you think, JJ?
Yeah, if the three of them are coming to the last together, I can see Chacun Pour Soi coming out on the wrong end of it. Just don't know how much he's going to find up the hill in Cheltenham off a proper strongly run championship race. Defy de Sol, as they can ride him anyway they like, they usually deliver him late. Barry Garrity is unbelievable on him. I think he's probably the one for me here. Altior is now 10. He's always kind of hit a flat spot in his races, and he's not going to be getting any quicker at 10. And I think Defy de Sol is a horse on the up as a 7-year-old, and I think he's the one here.
Okay, Johnie?
Yeah, listening to the lads there, if the three of them are coming to the last, it means the yoke I have backed has no bloody chance.
Well, it means you were like,
but, and then they said the one that they were kind of given a chance to was 10. The one I'm giving a chance to is bloody 12. That's on the sale.
Yeah, will he run here though?
Jeez, I don't know. I think they're lads for the big occasion. I'd say the last throw of the dice. Loves Cheltenham. And probably 40 to 1.
If he wins this race, I'm 33 years a pioneer, I'm going to have a pint with you. Is that fair enough?
Who's training him?
And you're paying for the pint.
All right. I have the pleasure of having a box, so the pint won't cost me anything.
I'd miss. Okay, so we will roll along to the cross country. And of course, Tiger Roll. Need I say any more? Joseph?
No, it's all about Tiger Roll. He's not going to be any price, I'd imagine, but sit back and enjoy him. Listen, he's a fantastic racehorse, one of the best horses we're going to see for many years to come. Now, Easy Land is as good a horse over the banks as what he's come up against in his whole career, and he could get close to him, but I'll be shocked if he beats him. And just want to sit back and watch Tiger Roll and enjoy it.
What do you think about the English rider, David Cotton, purchase?
He like I say, he's probably as good a Banks horse as he's come up against in his whole career to date. Now, whether he's good enough to beat Tiger Roll, I'll be surprised, but he is very good, and he probably will get closer to him than what any horse has got to him in recent times over the Banks, but I'd be surprised if he can beat him.
No, it looks a big ask, okay. Mark, of course, you've ridden this race, haven't you?
I did. I followed Tiger Roll around a couple of times. Also, look, he's an absolute legend of a horse. He's a movie star now. I don't think if he's right on the day, nothing will get near him again. All he has to do is canter around. He's just an unbelievable horse. He's about 15'3". He's absolutely tiny, and how he got around in 2 nationals, never mind won 2 nationals, I'll never know. I remember I rode him before he went to Cheltenham the first time. Gordon said, might run him in the national. I rode him work a couple of weeks before Cheltenham, and Gordon said, might run him in the national. And I laughed at him, and he says, the fuck are you laughing at? And I says, he won't get around the national. Fucking spastic, he said. He's fucking right horse, he's right horse. And I swear to God, Russell was dreading riding him. Everyone that was riding in the race said, Jesus, don't fucking follow him anyway, he won't get round. And he absolutely shits in. He's a right horse, he's a proper horse, and he's an absolute legend, so I'd love to see him win. And as well as anything else, Keith Donoghue does all the hard work in Gordon's. He schools every good horse of Gordon's, every grade 1 horse. Keith does all the schooling with him, he rides them all work. Maybe he's a little bit hard done by that he doesn't get to ride more of them, but look, for the horse and for Keith, I'd love to see him win again, and I hope he comes up the hill in the bridle.
Yeah, I think it's just a partnership that was made for each other, really, isn't it? JJ?
Yeah, sure. We don't need to say any more about Tiger Roll, really. He's a wonderful horse. Easy Land, he's a good horse around over the Banks. He won well there the last day. I suppose, like, Might Bite is a Gold Cup winner, and he's trying it for the first time. He's by Scorpion, so he does have his quirks and this and that and the other. But if he takes to the Banks, often the horse will take a run over Banks to get used to him, but if he does take to him, and Nicky Henderson I'm sure will have him well schooled, if he takes to him, he mightn't be 100 mile behind Tiger Roll.
If in the Bulger had him, you'd be having a bet each way on him.
Yeah, well, sure, Nicky Henderson has he has Yogi Bryser and those lads, so they're well able to get one ready for the Banks too, I'm sure.
Yeah. Johnny?
What price is Tiger Roll?
He's around even money at the minute.
I wouldn't back any horse at even money, lads, over 3 miles, 7 furlongs. Didn't bad enough back in one of Joesph O'Brien's over 5 furlongs at even money.
Jesus,
and now you want to give out, you should be given a far better price than that.
Oh, you're going to blame us now, is it?
Well, yeah, you should be given a better price.
We probably are top
even
price.
Money over 3-7. Barry Ryan, would you take that? Would you? Another clown from the Fourpenny Road. Jeez, I'd want to have Jack Maher's insurance there to get on that.
Jeez, Jack is getting great publicity here
3-7.
tonight. We'll have to charge him.
Judge, or Joseph, would you do it? So even money, 3.
Every day of the week. He's a fantastic horse. One of the best national hunt horses we'll probably ever see. Now he has a formidable opponent in Easy Land, but I don't think it's a race probably to be backing in and just sit back and watch and enjoy Tiger Roll when he's here.
I can picture the lads inside in Bile Sports saying, "Come on," and I wish Tiger Roll the very best. He's brilliant horse, brilliant for the game and all that thing. And I hope they're not saying, Jesus, Johnny Louby was bloody well right.
Well, I tell you what, the score that you lose on, what's that other horse we want to back? Undeso. You'll get it back off this lad, even money if you throw it on him, okay?
We'll see.
Right, we're going to kick on to the bumper. And Willie, you will be glad to know, Johnny, he is mob-handed here, of course. He has the favour with Appreciate It, who came from the Pat Doyle School. He was very impressive last day in Leopardstown. That was probably the bumper of the year so far, I think, and he won by 7.5 lengths, beating some very nice young horses. I really liked Willie's Panic Attack. I like that performance in Market Raisin. I think it's gone to David Pipe now. I think the owner has sold it, and it'd be interesting to see what David Pipe will, or who will Tom Screw ride in the race, because he has one of the favourites as well in it, don't he?
Tom Screw rides the other one, I believe.
Does he, yeah?
Because, like I said, I done the Cheltenham preview with Davy Russell the other day, and they asked him to ride it. He couldn't do the weight on the filly, but
right.
that suggests that Tom Screw was riding the other one for sure.
Okay. So, look, I'm going to stick with Willie's Panic Attack. I really like that performance. Of course, Johnny, you will be happy to know I'm going with Willie Mullins runner here. Joesph, what's your thoughts on this race? Of course, have you won in here?
I have a couple of entries, but I won't have a runner, I'd say.
Okay.
I was very impressed and appreciated in Leopardstown. He really motored all the way to the line. I do think it's a good race, and that filly of Willie Mullins's, or that was Willie Mullins's, she was hugely impressive in Market Raising. Now, the only little doubt I'd have is if she was that good, surely Willie Mullins would have tried to keep her in the yard. You know,
He would have plenty of big owners that he would have been trying to sell it to.
Yeah, that's true. Now, the only thing I will say is I believe that he wasn't very happy that she lost, and that there was that she's gone to David Pipes, and that there was a little bit of there was a bit of a fallout to a certain extent.
Okay.
But the one I like here is Gordon Elliott's filly that won the other day. I'm trying to find her here now. Mark might be able to tell us a bit more about her. If I can find her here, I'll come back to me in 1 second. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Queen's Brook, Gordon's filly. He won it with a mare before, and I was very impressed with her.
Fiona was the mare, wasn't
That's right. Yeah. And same owners. Mark might be able to tell us a bit more about her.
Yeah, she was very impressive in Gordon. Does everything nice at home. She's straightforward. She's not highly strung, so I'd imagine she'll be grand and relaxed over there. But geez, I hate these bumpers. I think anyone that has a bet in a bumper should be shot. They're a bookie's wet dream. Anything could win it, and it's a waste of time.
I don't think it's gone 9 o'clock yet. We need to keep it PG, Mark.
PG, right, for another while, but just don't have a bet in it. I don't know, sure, year in, year out, something comes from the clouds and nabs them all in the line. I don't know. I can't make out the form of them, so I honestly don't know.
But then you look at last year's race, it was a first and second favourite, wasn't it? In Violin and that horse of Willie's. Like sometimes they do stick up, Mark, you know.
The very odd time. Very odd time.
I know what you're saying.
Not all the time.
It throws us a good surprise in now and again, yeah.
Yeah, but no, I'd be staying away from it anyway.
Okay, JJ.
Yeah, sure. Appreciate his form is very solid. He was good in Leopardstown, and he looks the type of horse that's going to be suited to the race. He looks to have plenty of speed, and he looks to stay well. He looks reasonably uncomplicated, so the occasion shouldn't get to him. And I think he's the one for me here.
Okay, and Johnny, you're looking at me there as if...
Yeah, you see, definitely Willie Mullins could win it with, I mean, he did it before, winning 12 and 14 to 1 shots, and he having a very short favourite in the race. And I was watching a horse of his the other day, Fernie Hollow, seemingly a bit of a thief and all of that. But I don't know whether it runs there or not. But I can tell you, lads, with the way he won the other day, I hadn't a clue what he bet. But Jesus, I'll tell you, it was unbelievable. And I just said, they said to the bad bumper, I said, listen, everything is bad, but you have to try and win it.
You can only...
And look, I don't know about appreciated, but Fernie Hollow is probably 16 or 20 to 1. They done it before as Katie Welsh and all them when they were riding down there, and when we were supposed to have top class information about Willie's bumper horses and that. You know, so he'll certainly win it, I think. But with what?
Yeah, I agree with you there, Johnny, but I'm going to stick with the favourite at the minute. I'll probably wait for the day and see what runs and maybe back one each way instead. No, I'm actually not a favourite, man. Part 2, you'll see my big outsiders. Anyway, so we're done with day 2, and that brings us to day 3. Of course, we have Grade 2 Novice Chase. We have some fancy runners here from the RSA. If they don't run there, they could turn up here. But it's the Ollie Murphy trained Itchy Feet gets my vote. It was third in the Supreme last year. I actually backed it market big price last year, 25 to 1 when it was third. And I think stepping up to 2.5 miles and fences has really ignited this horse's love for the game. It won the Grade 1, the Novice Grade 1 at Sandown by 3.5 lengths the last day, and it's around 9 to 2 at the minute. It's going to take all the beating here, I think. Joesph?
Yeah, you can't fault anything he's done over fences. Experience maybe is a little question mark. I like Easy Game here. I thought he had a very good run at Leopardstown the last time. Maybe another 20 or 30 yards and he might have got up to beat Faheen. He finished the race strongly. Now again, we're not sure if he's going to run here or run in the RSA, but whatever race Easy Game runs in, I'd be on the right side of him. He might be a good each way bet.
Yeah, Mark?
I'd agree. I liked him. Puppy came up the stand rail on him in Leopardstown, and I thought for a couple of strides that he was going to get Faheen, but he didn't. I think, as far as I know, Sam Crow goes here. He's in mighty order at home. He's Gordon built new stables, and he's living outside. They're kind of it's part of it's covered over, and he's a wood chip walkway that he can go out in, and he seems to be a lot healthier since he started living in that, and he's in great form. He's working well from what I know, and I mean, he was a very, very good horse, and he might have just been a bit unlucky as well as anything else, and if he got a rub of the green, I think he'd be a bit of value, and I think it's in there somewhere just to get it out of him, so I think Sam Crow for me.
Yeah, he's kind of the forgotten horse, and he could run a very good race at a big price.
Yeah, well, sure, they thought he was the second coming of Jesus Christ at one stage, you know. But then I think they tried to make a 3-mile chaser into a champion hurdle horse, which was the wrong thing to do. But look, if he comes back to anywhere near his best, this race could cut off a bit, and I think he's a right chance in it.
Yep, lovely. JJ?
Yeah, that's very interesting to hear what Mark says about Sam Crow, and you wouldn't be ruling him out. And if he does come back to himself, as to say, he has a massive chance. It's a race I haven't got a massive opinion on it, really. I did see Itchy Feet the last day in Sandown. He was good and he got up the hill well. It looks like he's going to go for this race, and he's going to be on the premises if he turns up here.
Okay, Johnny?
Yeah, certainly Sam Crow for me each way. I don't think Gordon Elliott is like any of the top trainers there, Joesph run him. They wouldn't run him just for the sake of running him. That if the horse had shown anything at all, he's certainly going to be a serious horse, lads, in Cheltenham. And what price, Mark, you're going in Boyle Sports on Sam Crow?
I think he's 18 to 1 at the minute with Boyle Sports.
Yeah, geez, lads, he's a great each way bet. There's no way, as I said, Gordon Elliott had run the horse, lads, if he wasn't showing him things, because he probably couldn't listen to Eddie O'Leary and Michael O'Leary anyway.
The only thing is he's been such a talking horse over the last couple of years. I mean, in Fairy House, when he got eyeballed, he lay down at the back of the second last. He went to Limerick, Faheen eyeballed him, and he left a trail of puke from the second last all the way up to the winning post. I'd be against Sam Crow. I think he's obviously a fantastic workhorse, but I hope I'm wrong. But I mean, he's after letting everyone down so many times at this stage.
I'd agree with you there in Limerick. I thought it was like how far he was going to win by, and he just, so I'd agree with you there, Joesph. Right, we will move on to the Ryanair then. It's Grade 1 over 2.5 miles, and it's a race that has me scratching my head. But Johnny, you'll be pleased to know that if Undeso turns up here, he very rarely runs a bad race. I have it here in my notes, Johnny. I think age has caught up on him. I think he could be placed in this race if he runs here. Of course, last year's winner, Frodon, who was back to his best when winning the Kempton last time. But my each-way bet here, if it turns up, is Joseph's Drasso. He's also entered in Champion Hurdle. He's around 40 to 1 at the minute. He was second to Calais Emery at Gorn in the Grade 2. But the last time he ran over fences, he was a very good winner of a Grade 2 in Navan, beating Cadogan, who went to bolt up into Topham. Joesph, does he run? Or?
I don't think he'll run here, to be honest. And the only thing that might sway him too is if the ground got very heavy.
Okay.
He loves soft ground. He's a very good horse in his day. But I'd say it's unlikely that he'd line up here. The one I like here is a Plutar. I think his run the last day was very, very good in Leopardstown over 2 miles. Stepping back up and trip will really suit him, and I think he's one of Henry's bankers. Henry has a great team of horses going to Cheltenham this year. I think he's as good a chance as any that he has.
Okay. Mark?
Horse I like, I don't know if he runs here or not, is a horse Paul Nichols trains called Dynamite Dollars. He was third behind Altior in Newbury the last day, and it was his first run in well over a year. He travelled very, very well for a long time, and I'd say he just blew up. He was just collared for second close home. He's bound to improve if he turns up in a race like this. He could be a little each way bet. Surely, if he turns up, they'll have him bang on for the day. I was well impressed with him in Newbury, and I'd say he just blew up. So maybe something like that each way. But you honestly don't know what's going to turn up in this race till till declaration morning, because they're all swapping and changing, so it's very hard to know.
Yeah. JJ?
Yeah, Plutard's performance at Leopardstown over 2 mile, it surprised me, to be honest with you. I didn't think he was quick enough to win that race, and he did. So that was a very good performance. He won the Close Brothers last year by the length of the home straight over 2.5, and he's only a 6-year-old, so you know he's on the up, and a horse like that, that's what you need to win this type of race, and I think he's got a massive chance. Want to go against him, maybe Riders on the Storm. Nigel Twiston-Davis has done very well with him. He's a 7-1 shout, and I think he's got a big chance, and I can't see him being out of money.
Yeah. Did you ride Riders of Storm before?
I won on him in Navan. Tom Taff had him. Great big scorpion horse, about 17 hands, big, strong, powerful horse, and he's only starting to fill into a frame now, and he's only a horse now.
Lovely. Johnie?
I'll have a pint.
Pint again instead for Johnie, please.
I'm going to go for Paul Nichols, Frodon.
Yeah.
Won it last year. And Cheltenham is certainly a place for course and distance winners.
Is it the horse or the jockey that's swaying you to back it?
I don't know, I'll tell you, Paul Nichols' horses that's all running well. You know, he mightn't have a top-class horse for the Gold Cup or whatever, but I'm a big follower of Frodon, and the fact that he's a Cheltenham winner, that'll do for me. I don't know what price he is.
Frodon, I think he's 5-1 at the minute.
There you are. You were told here in Horse and Hound.
Frodon,
get on.
Get on. Come in, Johnie. Okay, that brings us to the Stairs Hurdle. It's over 3 miles, and of course we all remember big bucks are in the 40s. Last year's winner, Paisley Park, turns up. He's a very warm favourite. He's in top form. He's about 8-11 at the minute. He's probably one of the bankers of the meeting. I feel, barring any jumping errors, he's the one that will win this race. But there's a horse that I'm going to back on the day each way without. It's the Warren Greatrix trains Emitamp. I absolutely love this horse. I was following him last year. I was hoping to turn up in Cheltenham last year. It's around 10-1 at the minute, so I'll be hoping for a price without the favourite on the day. Joesph?
Yeah, I fully agree with you. I think Paisley Park is one of the bankers of the week. Fantastic stayer. He relaxes, finds loads for pressure. I think he's one of the bankers of the week, if not the banker. One to follow him home. I think Penn Hill is coming back to maybe some of his best form. He's won the Albert Bartlett a few years ago. He had a nice run on Gorn the other day. His owner is very, very shrewd man. You can be sure this race has been the plan all year. And for me, Penn Hill each way, and Paisley Park will win.
So the forecast for Joesph. Mark?
Yeah, I think Paisley Park will be very hard to beat, but I think Somerville Boy, he's back over hurdles now. Former winner of Supreme Novice Hurdle. Couldn't jump fences. He was horrendous. But I think they've done a lot of schooling with him. I think he's been in Henrietta Nights a good bit. Johnny Burke told me that they've done a lot of schooling with him back over hurdles, and he's jumping a lot slicker now. He was only a length and 3/4 or 2 lengths behind Paisley Park the last day in Cheltenham. I think he's about 8 or 9-1. Paisley Park is 4-6. He could very well give him a race, but I think Paisley Park will be very hard to beat. But I think Somerville Boy, he's definitely a bit of value at that price.
Okay, JJ.
Yeah, sure, Paisley Park, wonderful horse. He's like all those great stayers. He's got a great relaxed attitude and finds loads off the bridle and hits that flat spot and then really attacks into the hill. And, you know, he probably pulled up a bit in front the last day when he beat Somerville Boy. I thought Somerville Boy was going to give him a race for it, but he gapped out through the last, and that priced all his chances. So, looking down through it, I think Paisley Park and Somerville Boy, they're going to be the 1-2 here.
Lovely. Johnie? This is kind of your race, a staying kind of a race.
Yeah, staying races, right.
You've been known for your...
yeah, very hard. You can't go against Paisley Park. He's certainly the one. What price is he?
8-11.
Mother of Jesus Christ above. Jeez, the lads want a bit of value. I'll give you value, lads.
Go on, Johnny.
The Wolves End, Tom George, will be a right good price, lads.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Have no doubt about it. 20-25-1.
Yeah, and use your...
Joseph, would you give it a chance?
I'd rather back Penn Hill, Johnny.
Yeah, lads, I see him on television a good few times, the Wolves End. I love Cheltenham, lads, and to me, I'm definitely going to give him each way. What good is an 8 to 11 shot to a man here in Dualla? Or a woman?
No, it's no good. I'd agree with you there, Johnny, but we might throw a few of them together and get a prize.
Unless you double them with Tipperary for the All-Ireland or something like that.
Yeah. So I think we're all in agreement here. Paisley Park gets the vote, yeah? Except for Johnny, which he gets the vote, but you're just going to back a bit of value on today.
All I want to know is the road clear between here and Golden?
Oh my God. Okay, the final race of day 3, of course, is the Kim Muirs, the amateur riders race, and it's a hard race to back a winner in, but it's a spectacle to watch. I tipped this horse earlier on. If he turns up here, he's going to get my vote each way. He's around 12 to 1, 14 to 1 at the minute. The Paul Nichols trained Cat Tiger. Mark, have you any thoughts on this race?
No.
Joesph?
Maybe Raven Hill. Mark might be able to tell us about him. I think Jamie Codd rides him. He's a horse I've been watching, and it just could be a bit of this race has been a bit of a plan for him. Mark might be able to tell us a bit more about him.
He does. Jamie rides him. He was actually well fancied for the Galway Plate during the summer. I think he finished 5th or 6th in it or something. He ran a cracker. Loads of experience. Jumps for fun. Although I think he fell in the. He fell in the. What's the race in Navan?
Tri-Town or something.
The Tri-Town. Yeah, Russell landed on the ground beside me. We were cuddling for a few minutes. But he's usually a savage good jumper. Look, Gordon, if he makes a plan for these horses, he's one day in mind, and I'd imagine, I didn't know it, but obviously this has been the plan for a while, and if Jamie Codd rides in one of the best amateurs there is, he'll not be too far away if he gets a clear run.
Okay, JJ.
Yeah, a very hard race to pick the winner of.
Did you ever ride in this? Did you ride in this race? No?
I did. I rode Splash of Ginger in it for Nigel Twiston Davis. I made the running down over the first 3.
Brilliant spin, so.
Got a good spin. We only got about a circuit and stopped, but I got a good spin off him. It might have went a bit quick. The boys were happy though. Blazer, I like Blazer here. Ran very well in the that staying handicap in Leopardstown the last day. The Leopardstown Chase finished 4th with Dennis O'Regan on him. He's got a lot of weight on his back, but you know he's a class horse on his day, and he could be one. I'm sure maybe Derek O'Connor might take the ride, and in the green and gold hoops.
Lovely, and of course, Johnny, is that popping out with you there?
Not a screech, no, but definitely I'd be going for one of the top jockeys.
Yeah.
And that's it. Jamie Codd, Patrick Mullins, some of them lads, that'll do me. So, say no more than that.
That'll do. Okay. So that brings us to the final day of the festival, and we might be broke at this stage, but we'll try and get some kind of a few winners here. So first race, the Triumph Hurdle, and Paul Nichols is a very smart horse here in the shape of Solo. He's around 3 to 1 at the minute. He won a Grade 2 on his first UK start by 13 lengths. He had 2 starts in France, finished in 2nd first time out, and then bolting up in a heavy ground maiden in Ottawa. But Paul's other runner, Sir Psycho, I think he could be a bit of an each-way price. He's a 16 to 1 at the minute. He won 3 of his first 4, and he could be one for the each-way players. Joesph?
Yeah, I thought this was an extremely open race up until I saw Solo winning the other day at Sandown.
He was very good, wasn't he?
He was very, very impressive. Paul won the race with Zarkandar before he went on to win the Triumph Hurl a few years ago, and I think he's the one they all have to beat. Now, he's not going to get it all his own way. Goshen is a strong front runner, jumps right, he runs very keen.
Gary Moore's, is it?
Gary Moore's horse, yeah. Now, his jumping has to be a huge question mark. If it was a flat race, I think he's the best horse in the race, but it's not. So I think that's a question mark for him. All Mankind and Aspire Tower, both two keen front runners. I could see them taking each other on with Goshen, and I can see Solo following them and coming to beat them. I've two runners in the race. They're probably both up against it. Cerberus and Away with the Sea.
They were the two in that fought out.
Yeah, they both ran in Leopardstown last time in a Grade 1. They were first and third. They'd have each way chances. But for me, Solo is the one here. I think he really jumped out at me after he won at Sandown. And I think he's the one they all have to beat.
Does Henry's horse run up here, the horse that fell in that race?
Yeah, Aspire Tower. So the little worry about him is that he runs keen and he's not an easy ride. All Mankind runs very keen and he's not an easy ride. And Goshen runs very keen. And so you have three strong front runners there that are all keen and have only one way of going. So I could see them cutting each other's throats.
Yeah.
And you're looking for something to follow them home. Solo looked bomb-proof the other day.
He's very good, yeah.
He'll follow them along, and I can see him storming up the hill. Then you're looking for something each way, maybe to come and get the pieces. And Cerberus is a horse of mine that I like. He's done nothing wrong, and he could have an each way chance.
Yeah, I like that Cerberus, yeah. But I'm going to stick with Paul's each way horse for Psycho. Mark?
Can I curse now? It's after 9.
Go on, you're already after destroying us.
Well, Aspire Tower will end up in fucking Bristol anyway, because she won't be able to hold one side of him coming down the hill, and the other two taking her on as well. They're going to be going some gallop.
End up in the Guinness village, jumping right.
Be some crack, there'll be some lads on his back then, wouldn't there?
Could have come in for a spare here with Joesph, but I think you have to...
No, none of them will win anyway. I think the Irish juvenile form is absolute dirt. They're the worst bunch of juveniles I've ever seen.
Oh my God.
They are. The juveniles this year are absolutely shocking. So I'd imagine it'll be an English horse that'll win it anyway. Solo, very impressive. He beat a horse of Emmett Mullins that's rated 70 on the flat. It probably wouldn't win in fucking Dundalk. So like...
You might win them in Dundalk. You're back riding up there, aren't you?
Yeah, I might win it, all right, yeah. I honestly have no idea. The Irish juveniles are terrible this year. They're going to go some gallop. One of them surely won't take the bend, so one of them, God only knows where they're going to end up. I think maybe something at a big price that's had plenty of experience, is something like that, that's had 5 or 6 runs over hurdles, could mop up the pieces at the end. But it's a wide open race, but it's hard to weigh up the juvenile form. But I just think the English form is a lot better than the Irish form this year.
Okay.
Sure, Cerberus went over to Chepstow, was second to All Mankind. He was only 6 cents behind him, so I don't know how much difference there is in the juvenile form. He did beat him well, All Mankind, in saying that, but I don't think there were streets and streets ahead. Yeah,
Cerberus got a bad ride that day.
Oh, Jesus.
Sure, that means his form is even stronger.
Probably left him too much to do, but yeah, I don't give All Mankind a chance. I think he's too free. He'll go too fast. He'll probably pull up.
Lovely. Sure.
So Cerberus will pull up 6 lengths before him.
So this is going to be a lovely race. We've got All Mankind, Aspire Tower, and the other thing Gary Moore's like
Goshen
gallops through hurdles, him, and they're going to go flat out. Barry Garrity's going to hunt away and away with the sea. I think Solo is going to win, and Barry Garrity's going to come and pick up the pieces and get a bit of each way money. He'll stay up the hill.
I actually had a bit of a bet on that winner the last day. He was a lucky winner, I think, but yeah. So.
Yeah, I sold a quarter of a share in a coursing dog next year to Dan Skelton. He has All Mankind.
Now, before you say any further, start writing, because this is the one we want, lads.
He told me confidentially
Turn off the camera.
that All Mankind, he said, won't be beaten.
No.
I said, Dan, thank you. I said, that's all I want. No ifs and buts. He said, how do you want to be paid for the greyhound? I said, sterling.
So
And he said, that's exactly what I'm just telling you what the man said. I can't tell you anymore. He didn't talk about any other English horses, Irish horses, or anything else.
you could have stopped us. You have to drain all our mouths
He
out
did
here.
say he beat a horse of Joesph, was it? He said, you are back in the next parish, and you're supposed to be the best of the Irish.
Fish doesn't think so.
Oh. Where's Fish?
Mark Enright.
Oh, Fish.
He actually got that nickname here in Dualla.
They says throw us bread to catch a salmon. Now we're catching a bloody fish.
Martin. Come up here. Come up here now, don't be shy. Come up and tell us a tale. Stop. So, my pick of the race is going to be the Paul Nichols trained solo, and I think he'll do that and come home solo. Alright, we'll go to day 4, race 2, the county hurdle, of course, one of the big handicaps. And my each way here, if he turns up, of course, he's a couple of different entries, is the Philip Hobbs trained Dustall Phil. I really like this horse's last win at Fontwell. He travelled lovely, and when he's asked the question by Richard Johnson, pulled clear, winning by 6 lengths. He's around 14 to 1 shot at the minute, and of course, you'll probably get 5 or 6 places on the race on the day. There'll be about 30 horses entered here. So he gets my vote here each way. Joesph, have you got in?
In Tuca, I'll probably run in this.
Okay.
He wants a bit of nice ground. So if the ground is good in Tuca, he'll be a biggish price. He'd be getting in at the bottom of the weights if he gets in at all. But if he gets into the race on nice ground, he'd have an each way chance at a big price for sure.
Lovely. Mark. Yeah, the county hurdle. You might have a ride in it or anything, no?
Not a hope in hell,
No.
Jesus Christ. No, God only knows. I've no idea what runs in the handicaps, being quite honest, and they're too hard to figure out, so I don't even look at them.
I thought a man now of your intellectual racing knowledge.
No,
Would love a
bumpers and handicaps.
Okay, JJ, have you any fancy here?
Much the same as Mark, really.
The boys just love the grade ones, don't they?
I've no real opinion on it, to be honest with you.
Okay. Right. So we'll go to the third race. There's no point asking Johnie. I'd say you're going to be broke as a stone if this yoke all mankind don't mend it.
If the 2 pies down, don't hold nothing about it. I know.
Willie
Sweet
Mullins,
them all.
just Willie Mullins, is it?
Sweet them all.
Oh, gee.
Get on to the big time stuff.
Okay, right. So the third race is the Albert Bartlett, a grade 1 over 2 mile 7. Gordon Elliott's Fury Road at around 14 to 1 catch my eye here. He bolted up in the maiden hurdle at Down Royal by 18 lengths. He won his next 2 races well, including the grade 2 at the Limerick Festival, the Christmas Festival. He was 4th in the grade 1 novice hurdle. It was a bit of a disappointing run. He was fancied enough that day, but I think he could have been spot on the day. So I'm going to go with the Gordon Elliott trained, what did I say his name is? Fury Road.
Yeah, good horse. Davy Russell tipped him up the other night as well at the preview I done with him. I like Latest Exhibition here. I think he'll love to step up and trip. If there's a bit of juice in the ground, that'll be a help to him. And I think he's the one they all have to beat. He's the classiest horse in the race. Another horse that I'm not sure if he runs here or in the 2 mile 5 race is the Big Breakaway. He's been hugely impressive in everything he's done so far. Either of these races are a big step up in class, but he's a very, very good horse and one to be on the right side of going chasing next season. The Big Breakaway. I might have one runner in this tempo. If the ground is good, he'd have an each way chance. He likes a bit of nice ground, so he's worth keeping an eye on.
That the horse that won in Thurles?
Won in Thurles the last time. JJ rode him, very impressive. He has form. Late his exhibition, just beat Cobbler's Way in the grade 1 at Leopardstown, and Cobbler's Way just beat us in the maiden hurdle before that. At Christmas we were probably we could have been a little bit closer. So our fella, if the ground is nice, he has a big each way chance and he'd be a big price.
So you want a bit of juice, is it? Or
no, he wants a bit of good ground.
Okay.
And then the other horse to keep an eye on, the Big Breakaway. I think he's very, very good.
Okay.
Not sure if he runs here or not.
Okay. Mark?
I love Latest Exhibition, Paul Nolan's horse. I think he's a real strong stayer. He had Fury Road behind him the last day and Longhouse Poet. I think he looks a very good horse. I think he only does enough. Paul Nolan would love to be back in the winner's enclosure in Cheltenham again. Very good trainer.
So would the rider?
So would the rider, absolutely, yeah. Fury Road, they thought they thought he was the next best thing in Gordon's last year, and he ran in the bumper first time out in Leopardstown and finished 5th, ran horrendous, and he hasn't done a whole lot wrong since. He jumps very well. He's a very good horse. He's probably a bit of value, but I love latest exhibition, and I'd love to see Paul Nolan having the winner as well.
Yep. JJ, you'd be hoping that Sempo runs?
Yeah, the maiden hurl that Sempo was second in, that Cobbler's Way, won, nearly rode a better race than the Grade 1 that latest exhibition won. They went a much better gallop, much more even run race, and I thought maybe if Rachel Blackmore got her day back in Leopardstown, she might have sent Cobbler's Way on a bit. He wasn't beaten far by latest exhibition that day. I followed the latest exhibition and got a right good look at him in Leopardstown. He didn't go that quick, but Brian Cooper was the whole time kicking him in the belly, slapping him down the shoulder, and I just wonder if they jump out in Cheltenham and go a right good gallop, will they get him on his head, and will he get out of his position? And if the ground dries out, which it could do on the Friday, they'll be watering for the early in the week, it could dry out. I'd wonder would he get out of his comfort zone and get on his head, and I just fancy Sempo each way. I was very happy with him that day in Leopardstown. He bolted up in Thurles. If the ground is good, I think he'll come home well over that trip, and I think he's got a chance each way.
Yeah, it was a very impressive win in Thurles, and I hope it runs well for you lads. Johnie?
Yeah, that was a great race in Leopardstown that day, and I think if you go back and look at it again, I would certainly have a few bob each way on Longhouse Poet. Paul Nolan's a great guy, you know, you love watching him on television. His heart and soul is in the National Hunt game, and he really down there, like I've met him a good few times up around Tipperary and that, and a smashing guy.
Yeah.
And that I'd love to see him having a winner, you know, because to be marvellous for his stable and all that are involved down there. But and of course his two big loves are hurling and National Hunt racing. So yeah, I just thought Longhouse Port, if you go back and look at the thing again, that maybe that if it goes to Cheltenham, that Longhouse Port might be the one there.
Yep. Okay. So the feature race of the day and of the week is the Gold Cup. Of course, last year's winner, Album Photo, turns up to regain his crown. We all know how hard it is to win back-to-back Gold Cups. I think Best Mate was the last man to do it in concession. He won 3 in a row. Even Caught Star, when he won, he let them men win one in between. But I'm going to side, for that reason, I'm going to side with Gordon Ellis, Delta Work. Mark Walsh comes in for the ride for the injured Jack Kendi. His last win in the Irish Gold Cup showed me he has what it takes to win. He beat some of his leading fancies here, Kimboy, of course, and presenting Percy. He came from off the pace, outstaying. I feel the extra 2 furlongs should suit him more and give Gigginstown a 3rd win in the race. Joesph?
Another going to be a great race. Delta Work looked very, very good this year, especially in Leopardstown the last day. Album Photos had the perfect preparation. He went to Tremor the same as last year. He comes here in good shape. I think it's probably a better race this year again than it was last year.
Yeah.
The one that I like is Lost in Translation. You have to forgive his run the last day. I'm willing to do that and trust Colin Tizard. Colin Tizard to get him here in good shape. I thought his win in Haydock was very good. He stays very well. He is form behind Effie de Sol last year in all those novice races. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on earlier in the week. But if you see Effie de Sol winning earlier in the week, I'd be all over Lost in Translation for the Gold Cup.
Yeah, I was fancying Colin's horse the whole way through the season, bar his last run. So I suppose if you can put a line through that, but it's very hard to put a line through it. And of course, Colin knows what it takes to win the race.
Yeah, it was a bad run the last day. He pulled up, obviously, but I'd be happy to put a line through it.
Yeah.
And take. I suppose you'll get in the price, but you're forgiven for his run the last day.
Exactly,
if he'd have won the last day, he'd be a hell of a lot shorter.
Up, yeah.
I think he's very, very good on his day, and Colin Tizard, you can be sure, will have him here in tip-top shape.
Yep. Mark?
Yeah, I think a lot better race this year than it was last year. I just don't know about Delta Work. I think he can miss a fence when they turn up the tempo. he can hit one fairly hard. Russell makes him look a lot better than he is now. I know Jack won him last day, but Russell rode him all last season, and he made him look an awful lot better than he was. He just when they turn the screw, he can miss one. I think Monley was very unlucky not to beat him over Christmas. I think Rachel lost her irons. I think she probably kicking herself after. I think she probably should have beaten him. I think he's probably the forgotten about horse at 20-1 in a race like this. You don't know what happens if he got a bit of luck. You'd never know. Santini, I like. He's the right attitude for it. He raced a little bit behind the bridle, but he's there when you need him. I think it's wide open. To call a winner, I've honestly no idea. I'd be opposing Delta Work anyway.
Okay. JJ?
Yeah, sure, it is a great Gold Cup. It's very hard for a horse to win back-to-back Gold Cups. It's a grueling race, it's a very hard race, and sure, Alboom Photo won well in Tramore, but sure, it's hard to know how he'll turn up in Cheltenham. I think Presenting Percy is going to be involved. He is run the last day. Word on the street is that Pat Kelly's been training him for the race, and everyone knows the type of trainer Pat Kelly is, that he well and truly could sacrifice running in a race like the last day at Leopardstown and aim for the Gold Cup. And if that was the case, he's won an RSA, he acts around Cheltenham, he'll get the trip, and if he's on his A game, he'll be right there with him, I think.
Yeah, it makes for an intriguing race, really, these wide open ones that we can't find a winner of, doesn't it? Because we'll be hoping they all kind of come there together. Johnny, have you any fancy in the race?
Yeah, I suppose Willie Mullins has taken the same course as last year, hasn't he? Tramore and onto the Gold Cup. Tramore this year didn't bother his backside with the Champions Weekend in Leopardstown. Come on and get him ready for the Gold Cup. I would certainly think the same as JJ there, that Presenting Percy could be the forgotten horse. A guy introduced me there to Pat Kelly a couple of years ago, and the guy that introduced me would be one of the Shrewdies on the Greyhound game. And I just followed in Pat Kelly since. And I think Davy Russell and those, look, the horse, all the horses that are being got ready for the Gold Cup, that are in the Gold Cup. But sometimes you might just give them a run, even in Champions Weekend, just to be in the format of getting them ready for the big day. It's like a coursing greyhound. You just give them a gallop, maybe in Borrisoleigh. You win a round or two, and because they have qualified in Cashel, and you know what you have then, and you just go in the scheme of things. But I honestly think that Presenting Percy won't be 100 mile away. But for me, Alboom Photo, Presenting Percy each way, Alboom Photo to do back to back.
Yeah, I'd agree with you, because I remember when Colin won the Gold Cup at Native River, I think the year that he won it, he kind of just kept him taking over and didn't give him any hard race. So I think Willie's kept him away from having a hard race and to keep him fresh. But I'm going to stick with the Gordon Delta Work, and I'm going to go for Henry's hit horse each way. That was Monolly, yeah.
And of course, when you see Willie today in Clonmel, I know it's only Clonmel, but producing a horse after 830 days to skate in, he's well capable, like Joseph O'Brien. All these good trainers, they can leave him there for 3 or 4 years and then produce the goods. It is very important that we would keep in with Joseph. Joseph, don't mind all that thing. Have you anything for Dundalk Friday night?
I do. I have a horse in the 1.5 mile handicap called Tonkinese. He has a good chance, Johnny. Tonkinese, a good chance tomorrow. I think he's 13 to do or that. So I think he'd be hard to beat.
I hadn't even time to go to the betting office. I hadn't a shilling on me. Are you taking bets?
You can just get out your phone there, register for Buy Sports account quick.
Hold on 1 second till I show you the fucking yoke I have. Jesus, look. Got it in 1986, working in Glanbia.
We'll sort you out later on, we get a bet on.
And look, herself said one night, she said, I was in the Bridge House in Golden. She says, I was trying to get you in there. And I said, there's a bad reception. She says, I know that, but I said, it's actually better in there than the reception I'm getting now at home. Confidentially, Joseph, what's the name of that horse again?
Tonkinese. Tonkinese.
Oh, Tonkinese. Yeah. Is Slevin riding it?
No, so you can back him, so Johnny. Dylan Brown McGonigal rides it. He's an apprentice, £7 claimer. He's good value for his claim.
Oh, by Jesus, Bile Sports now on first team.
Oh, Jesus, I'm out of a job Monday. Anyway, so have we all came in agreement, or not in agreement, but what our fancies are for the race? Yeah? Right, okay. So we will move on then. The 5th race, of course, is the Fox Hunters. We have last year's winner, Hazel Hill leads the market at 4-1, but I'm going to say with the John Joe Neal's Manila Rocco for JP. He's around 5-1 at the minute. He beat Hazel Hill the last day by a length and a half. He looks back to his best. Of course, this horse was second in the 2017 Gold Cup this season, John. And of course, 5-1 at the minute. He's definitely an each way bet to nothing, I think, in the Fox Hunters. Joesph?
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. Manila Rocco is a class horse in the race. Just one there, a filly that caught my eye running the other day, and she runs in the Perthames Relegate. She ran very well in the Perthames qualifier in Punchestown the other day. She got enough weight off the English handicapper to get her into the race, which was questionable. She was a real eye catcher in the Perthames qualifier Relegate. Be on the right side of her.
It'd be good to see Colin Murphy back with it.
Colin Murphy, she came from Willie Mullins. I think she won the champion bumper a couple of years ago. Her jumping her jumping has let her down in a few different places, but I thought her run the other day was very eye catching, and I think she's a huge chance in the Perthames.
Lovely. Mark?
Me, sorry. Yeah, Fox Hunters, I don't have much of a say in it. Obviously, Manila Rocco, very good horse in his day. He's after winning his last 2. A horse of In the Bulgers, don't know if he goes there or not. I think he probably does, because he had to win a point to qualify. Stalker Wallace, he was off for a long time. He was off from the 12th of February 2017, and he ran a couple of weeks ago in Naas, called Stalker Wallace. He was second in a Hunter's Chase in Naas, in the Bulger, master at these races. I don't know who rides him. I presume Derek rides Manila Rocco.
Yeah.
So I don't know who rides him, but he might be a price. He might be an each way price, and he could be a bit of value.
Lovely. JJ?
Yeah, I'd say there's a chance that Anya O'Connor won on Manila Rocco in Warwick, and if she's back, maybe she might ride him and Derek. But you don't think she'll be back. Stalker Wallace won a ladies' open in Nina the other day, and he won it quite well. He mightn't have beaten much. Horse that I like here is maybe something like Billaway. Mullinses have campaigned them exclusively at these hunter chases, and in order for them to do that, they must think a bit of him to keep him at that bracket. And he's been doing well. He ran well the other day, so he could be one. He's 7-1 there, young horse. I think you need a young horse on the up for this type of race, and he could be one there at a bit of a price.
Lovely. Johnny, have you any thoughts on the Fox Hunters?
None whatsoever. I just thought that Rachel Blackmore is some odds 8-1 to be champion jockey in Cheltenham, if you want to have an interest in it.
Yeah.
She's a fantastic value, while I think of it today. She's riding out of her skin, and she's on top class horses. So last year I had a few pound on Nico de Bonville. He was 12-1 to be champion jockey, and I duly collected when I came back. I was looking at him the other day. He's 8-1 again, but I thought that she would be a better price than that. Like, there's some fantastic prices out there that if you throw an old tenner on it, maybe 8 or 10-1 on a jockey,
of course,
he could be riding maybe 18 races for you.
Yeah.
And you have an interest, and you don't have to back then against the 1-2 shot.
Yeah.
So, how are Bile Sports going anyway?
Struggling away.
Cleaning up.
Yeah. Right. So we have 2 races left. I'm going to run through them here. I don't know if the boys have any picks for them, but the Grand Annual, it's the Grade 3 Chase. Used to be the last race of the meeting, but they switched them around. And Dan Skelton's Maracuja could be one here at the price. Best price at 25s with Bile Sports is around 16-1 with most firms. He has won at the course and was a fancy for this race last year. Finished midfield, probably unlucky. He was third in the Clarence House, which is a Grade 1 last time. Of course, it wasn't a big field, but I just think at 25-1, of course, there will be probably 5 or 6 places in the race. Could be one for each way markets. Joesph, have you anything in this?
I have a runner in this, a horse called Us and Them. He was placed in second in 4 or 5 Grade 1s last year. This year he's only had soft ground every time he's ran. He's a good ground horse. If the ground was good, he'll be a big price. He might have an outside chance. He's going to get blinkers on him. He jumps well. He loved the test. He was second in the Arkle last year. Dropping into handicap company around here on a bit of nice ground, he'd have a good each way chance.
Lovely.
Us and Them.
Us and Them. Mark?
Horse the Gordons in the Grand Annual, Chosen Mate. He was, I think he was one of the favourites for the Galway Hurdle, and he got badly hampered around the second bend. He won a beginner's chase. I'd say this was the plan with a while now. He won a beginner's chase in Gorn by 11 lengths, and they had a camera from the side on, and he popped the second last. Russell gave him a slap, and he absolutely sprinted clear and left the rest of them like they were stopped. I think he's got a nice weight. What weight has he got? He's got about 11 stone or 10-13.
Right, lovely weight for
10-13, I think. I don't know what price he is, but I think he could be value now, and he's a very, very good horse. Things haven't gone that right for him, but if he gets a break, he'd obviously need a bit of luck. That 2 mile race, they absolutely fly, but I think he's a squeak.
Lovely. JJ?
Yeah, sure. It's a great race. Fast and furious. You see, Yuck's been led to the start and never did it, so they will go a proper good gallop. If Us and Them comes back to himself, if he gets the good ground and if the blinkers light him up, he's a Grade 1 horse running off 11 stone. He's loads of experience. He's good and hardened. He's farm in Cheltenham, and I think you could do worse than back him each way.
Lovely. Right, that brings us to the final race of the meeting, and hopefully we have a few quid left in our pockets. Of course, it's the Martin Pipe Conditional, won last year by Joseph's Early Doors. You have a few entered again. I was looking through the entries, but Nicky Henderson's Dame de Campaign, she's multi-entered. She's around 20-1 for this race. Whatever race or handicap she turns up for, I'm going to back her each way. She's a lightly raced 7-year-old mare. She's won twice over the course and distance, and of course she pulled clear in a 16 runner, although it was a mare's hurdle. I just really like that performance. She just absolutely won like a proper horse. She's also entered in the Coral Cup, so whichever race, I will back her each way. Joesph, you have a few entered in this race?
Yeah, we have a couple entries in this. Probably the main one is Front View. He ran well in Thurles the other day. The handicapper gave him an extra £4, which means he can still run in this race. The course and the distance will suit him well, and I think he has a good each way chance. He got interfered with a little bit in the straight in the graded race last week, and I think he has a good each way chance. Obviously a hugely competitive race. One that I thought was probably, I think Gordon Elliott always tries to win this race. He used to work for Martin Pipe, and it's well documented that he always tries to set something up for this. I think he has 2 big chances, Column of Fire and the Boss's Oscar. Very impressed with Column of Fire's run in Leopardstown the last day, and I thought he'd be very hard to beat, but I do think that Front View has a very good chance.
Lovely. Be hoping history repeats itself.
We'll be trying anyhow. Not certain on jockey bookings yet, but whoever rides them, I think he'd have a good each way chance.
One of the boys need to get back their claim here, do they?
I wish. Yeah, I wish.
Lovely. Mark?
Yeah, I actually like Front View. If John Joe O'Neill can ride in it, can he?
Yeah.
If John Joe O'Neill was to ride him, I think he'd take it. It would be a point in the right direction anyway. Very good rider. He'd be unbelievable value in a race like that. And I like the profile of Front View. And it's hard race again. Handicap. They go good old gallop. But if he got a bit of luck in running, he'd be thereabouts anyway, I think.
Of course, John Joe won the race for you last year, didn't it? So be hoping to lighten the strikes twice. And of course, JJ, I think this race was your first Cheltenham Festival winner, was it?
Yeah, rode Champagne Classic to win for Gordon, so yeah, was lucky enough that day now. So it's a grand old race, yeah.
Lovely. Have you anything catches your eye this year?
I was lucky enough to sit up on Front View in Cork, and he beat Uhtred that day, who's he's only run over hurdles. Uhtred is quite a good bumper horse, and he feels like he's got a big engine, big high cruising speed. He is only a novice. He had a great run the last day, so it would be a fair performance from him to win it, being that he's a novice. It's a comparative handicap in Cheltenham, and if John O'Neill was to ride him, it would be a big plus. He gave Early Doors a wonderful patient ride last year, so he would be a big help if he was on board. And he's got a massive chance. Column of Fire, I won a maiden hurdle that he fell in Fairy House, and he showed a lot of boot. He came down to second last that day, and he ran a cracker in Leopardstown in that race. And I've learned a lot that day, so he could have a big shout as well. So Front View and Column of Fire, you wouldn't go too far wrong if you back those.
Lovely. So, Johnny, that's the last race of the meeting. Have you any thoughts on this race? Willie Mullins.
No, I'll be on my way to Tralee dog track. I have a dog running that night.
Well, we hope that you... Yeah, come on, give us the winner, Johnny.
He's not handicapped enough
He's
yet.
a stonewall certainty, so lads. What's the name of the dog?
He's not even down to me. We have to do them things now and again. No, I won't, no.
Come on, spit it out. Spit it out. Come on, spit it out.
No, go on, keep
Right, so guys, first of all, I want to say thank you to each and every one of the panel that turned up here tonight. Of course, this is for the Irish Injured Jockeys Association, and all the money raised on the night, of course, we're going to have a charity auction there maybe in 10 or 15 minutes time. Any ticket money on the door, and any of the money from the auction goes straight to the fund. Of course, it touches each and one of the boys up here. These lads are all very busy, including Johnny Louby, and they gave their time here tonight to turn up to Dualla for us, so I'd like to give them all a round of applause. Secondly, we came up with this idea a few months ago, so it's not just me, we had the committee there, and we just want to say a big thanks to Michael Cunningham, Philip Cunningham, Martin Ferris, Brian Sheehy, of course, Tom Carew, Margaret Ryan in the Horse and Hound, Brendan Clancy, anyone else? Dan Riley, and of course, Simon Rashford there from the Garvan Inn. If any of you are going to Bungestown, stop into the Garvan Inn. Is he here? He is, yeah. Where is he? He's outside. Well, I'm after plugging him now anyway, so. And of course our auctioneer there, Willie Try, he'll be on in 5 minutes. He's ready to rock, he's ready in and out, but just want to put your hands together for all the committee as well, lads. And hopefully we have a few winners picked for you. Yeah, fair play to Willie Try. Just before you leave, lads, I forgot, we have a charity bet from Boyle Sports. They kindly donated 100 quid, so hopefully we can make a few pound out of that as well. I'm going to divide the bet. I'm going to split it with myself and Joesph. He might give us a winner. So I'm going to put...
I know Leon well, Itchy, and I think he'll have no hassle topping it up to 200. And you can tell him I said it.
Right, I'll go 100, so I'm going to go for 100 on Willie's favourite in the first, and I'm going to let you pick the next one, and hopefully you might give us a winner.
I think I'll go 25 each way on Relegate, and you have 50 there for one of the lads to play with.
Okay. Johnny Louby. No, Johnny, come on. These boys ride him, they can't pick him.
I'll have it on the dog in Tralee, but I won't tell you his name. Album photo.
Okay. Lovely. And again, fair play for everyone for coming out and turning out, not just the guys here, but everyone for coming. So thanks a lot, and thanks for everyone for supporting the auction as well. Cheers.